Welcome again to Life Principles with Dr. Sam Malomo. It is a beautiful day out here, and I'm grateful that by now you are following me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook channels. If you are not, I look forward to you following me on these platforms. This series is so important to me because it makes a whole difference in anybody's life. Because principles is about understanding the pattern of how things work. And this is a word series. This past week I was thinking about something. Why is it that the words of some people become their word or create their word, and other people's word is nothing or does not have any impact? And it made me thinking, and I remembered in the words of Jesus, quoting from the scriptures now, the book of Luke, chapter 6, 43, 44, and 45. Jesus says something that blew my mind. And these are the verses that we're going to look at during this series. The first thing Jesus said is that for a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. It says, for every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from bramble bushes. It says, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. So the first life principles that we are looking at today is his mouth speaks. Now, many people speak, not realizing what they speak. And at times they are shocked at what they say. For example, some people have had them say some things and they will tell me that they do not mean what they said. And I begin to wonder what they have stored in their heart for several years. What Jesus is saying here is that a mouth cannot speak, but by the abundance of what it has in it. It's like you are expecting a product out of something that was not made or created to produce those things. What Jesus is saying is that our heart is the hub or is the deposit for whatsoever we are going to speak. And what we speak is actually the produce of our heart. So let me give you an example. A man that speaks fear every time, the abundance of what is in his heart is actually fear. The images that is projected from his heart to his mouth is fear. And no matter how he hears or he sees boldness, or he sees a different picture, it is the image that his heart reflects to his mouth or projects to his mouth that he will speak. So also, if a man has the content of life in him, even if he's surrounded by death, because the content of his heart is what projects life through his mouth, it will dominate the death around him. Just as darkness cannot produce light, so also light cannot produce darkness. So the abundance of what is in your heart is the product of the evidence of your life. It may not reflect now, but I want to let you know it does not fail. Because the abundance of life in you overcomes death, overcomes poverty. A man does not necessarily become poor because of what his bank account reads now. A man is poor by the abundance of poverty in his heart. People have billions and millions of dollars in their account, but their heart still tends towards poverty. Everything that their heart projects to their mouth is poverty. So the first thing you must do is to go into your heart and check, what is the abundance that I'm permitting to be deposited in my heart? You can't produce 8 when you love. You can't produce love when you hate, because the abundance of what is in your heart is what you will speak forth. I believe this is a life principle that we must turn to and begin from there so that our life can begin to radiate what we believe.